So can you share, you talked about how you're learning so much. Who do you have on your team as you're training that's helping introduce you to some of these different ideas?
Okay, so I have a friend of mine that I've known since 10th grade. His name is Dave Urick, and he he did 2.5 Ironman competitions last year. He works out like crazy. He's a real data analytics type of guy, and so I talk to him regularly about how he's training and what he's doing. So that's one. Two is Lauren Jenson. She's actually going to be speaking for us December 11th. So if you get a chance to come to our Business Improvement Quarterly, you're going to hear her. And it's interesting because she's coming to speak for us. And I asked her, I said, what do you want to talk about? And so I let her pick the topic because she's getting into speaking and she wants to be a professional speaker. So I said, okay, well, will you tell me what topic you're thinking about? And I just let her do it. So my thought was, it was the mindset of a champion, and her thought was mindset for success. So we were like totally on the same
That's
page.
awesome.
It's like, okay, so that's awesome. So I was like, because I think mindset of a champion is even greater than mindset for success. It's like, and then as we're talking, I said, so one of my sort of principles when I speak is people are going to implement one thing. They may memorize a couple things, but for the most part, you can talk all this stuff about all these phenomenal ideas, but people are going to do one thing. So I said, Lauren, if there's one thing they can learn from you about to be successful as a champion triathlete, what is the one thing? She said, it's, she said, self-talk. She said, you've got to master the self-talk. So I said to her, that's your book. It's it's the self-talk of a champion. And it's mastering that voice inside your head that determines whether or not you're going to quit, going to uh, finish, or win. And that just, to me, just her telling me that, it made me much more aware of my self-talk, because I really do talk to them. I'm like, all right, come on, D, you can do this. All right, come on, you got one more. Like I'm sitting here talking, I'm on a trainer, and I'm like, okay, I like to do percentages. So like, okay, 1/10, you got 10% done. And then the next mile, okay, good. Okay, we're 20% in, we only get 80% to go. And then I'll cut that into small pieces. I just keep cutting it into pieces. That way I'm pretty much, it's my spirit process where I'm taking the goal, I'm developing a plan, and I'm executing on the little plan and then recalculating based on what I want to do. So understanding the power of that self-talk is so powerful. So getting someone like that, there's all these nuggets that, to me, great people are developing these principles that you can pick up on, that you don't have to experience to do. All you do is just sit and learn from them, and then they make you better. So so she's one that is making me better. My physical therapist, I'm sorry, my massage therapist, she's a sports massage therapist. So she only works with athletes. And she it's interesting because I'm always asking her, like before I would do my 8 mile run, I texted her. I was like, hey, her name is Jessica. I was like, hey Jessica, I'm sorry to bother you on a Saturday, but my like I have this spot where it's a trigger on my leg where if you press on it, it's sore. But if you press all the way down as hard as you can, it doesn't hurt worse. It hurts the same amount. So it can't be muscular. It has to be something else. She says, well, just because you have pain doesn't mean it's an injury. I said it's at a 5 right now because I've been massaging it. And so she says, well, look, no, it's a 5 or 6. She said, well, run for a mile. And if it gets above a 5, stop. So I said, okay. So when I started running, I got to the first mile, it was like a 2. Really didn't really feel it. And then when I was coming back, I started feeling it a little bit, but it wasn't bad, but I had to get home anyway. So, I couldn't stop. So, so just getting those little nuggets of information from these professionals or experienced people like my friend Dave, um, uh, and from Lauren and from Jessica, just getting these people, they help me sort of through the process. So that's one. Two is I've been reading a lot of articles. I read Athlete magazine. I'm just reading these articles around You know, if you're going to skip a workout, which one should you skip? Or and it's funny when I was talking to Lauren and she was teaching, she was looking at my swim stroke, and she said to me, well, I was telling her, well, you know, I'm trying to get to, you know, 2 miles and blah blah blah. She said 2 miles straight. She says no one does that. She says your technique will be all messed up. She said you need to work on technique. So now I read this other article, and the article said, well, you know, swimming is all technique. And that's why a person who hasn't, they're in worse shape than you, but if they swam on the swim team, they're going to swim circles around you no matter what. So it's like Lawrence says technique. I then read this article on technique. I watched some YouTube videos on technique and about making, and so today I was in the pool and I'm not worried about my speed as much. I'm just worried about my technique. So I'm getting coached by all these people in front of me, but also I'm getting coached by articles that are giving me little nuggets to get better over time. And anytime I see the same thing said in multiple places, that's my 2 to 3 witnesses, my confirmation that it must be truth, because if disparate people are saying the same thing, to me, it's more likely to be a truth.